Hello, and welcome to Does It Resonate With You, the thought-provoking conversation show where your hosts, Angie of the ZXUH Method and John the Tarot Geek, figure out what resonates with them while encouraging you to find what resonates with you. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Does It Resonate With You, the show where we invite you to hear what resonates with us and ask you to figure out what resonates with you. We are so excited to be here with you today, and we so appreciate you listening to us. While I'm at it and while I think about it, if you're listening on YouTube, if you could reach down and hit that subscribe button, we totally want to get to 44 subscribers at the moment, which is not what we want in total, but it's what we want for right now. You know, angel numbers and everything like that. I am Angie of the ZXUH Method, and I'm really excited to introduce my co-host, John, the Tarot Geek.
Hi,
John.
I'm John the Tarot Geek, and today we have a special guest with us. We have Camille Nelsen, the military medium. I hope we bring her on real quick because she's very interesting and fun.
Very, very interesting and fun. Okay, here she is. Hello.
Yay!
We're bringing the fun.
So excited to have you on here today. I want to start for just a second by telling everyone how I met you. Because
this is good.
It is good, right? It's really good. We were in a I don't know if it was a Radley class or a Mooney class, but we were in a Mooney class together. And by Mooney, I mean the Mooneyverse, like you've heard me mention it before. And we were in a class together, and somehow after Camille had her turn to speak and told us how she's the military medium, I put in the comments that my mother was a sergeant in the Marine Corps. And during World War II, she was a Marine. She was not a WAC, she was not a WAVE, she was a Marine. And Camille reached out and said she does these amazing connective paintings. And she reached out and asked me if I would like for her to connect with my mother. And she sent me the most spectacular painting. She sends it to me as a JPEG. And when I opened it up, it was instantly like I had received a hug from my mother, who I hadn't seen or laid eyes on in over 40 years.
Wow.
My mother passed in 1975. So it was a long time ago. And it was... I'm not, you guys know me, you've come a long way with us now, I'm not really a big attachment person, and I don't dwell and I don't look backwards, but this was a real gift and I really appreciated it. So I was so fortunate to be able to become friends with Camille, and we've run across each other on more than one occasion, in more than one of these Zoom chat groups that we do. So I'm just really excited that she agreed to come on and talk to us and tell us a little bit more about what she does and how she connects. And just one of the most important things we do as Americans is support our military. So
yes,
I'm thrilled that you're here with us. So just take a second or two, whatever works for you, and just, what is your favorite thing that you do? Is it the paintings, or is it the connections, or is it conversation? Camille's also got a podcast called The Military Medium, right?
Yeah, right.
So that won't be hard to find.
That's easy.
But what is your favorite? What do you find easiest to do?
All of it.
Good.
I'm very enthusiastic and happy to be able to do all of that. I love the painting. And what happened, how we met, was that I talked about my history, Marine Corps. I was born into the Marine Corps. I married into it. I've got Marine Corps, my dad's flight helmet. So this is, I always joke around and say dress blues are in my blood. Mm-hmm. So Marine Corps is just part of who I am. I've always been military family. And when I was talking about that, then you said about your mom being a Marine in World War II, and I about fainted because that's way back before women she had to be some kind of badass to be a Marine in World War II, because women were not really welcomed for a long time. And she was a part of that. So boy, I got so fired up hearing that. I was like, oh, I've got to paint. I've got to paint.
So did you hear the rest of the badass story? She was a Marine, so that's not the auxiliary. That's not
No, right.
She was a Marine. And when my father in the 70s, the late 60s, early 70s, joined the AMVETS, she went along with him one day and they asked her to join the Women's Auxiliary. And she said, absolutely not. I am a Marine. She was the first woman's member in that chapter in Streamwood, Illinois. And even long after she passed, and when I really no longer had communication with my father too much, I would run into people that were of that neighborhood, and they would tell me they remembered. It was something they remembered. This was not a little in the back room thing that happened. The members were all about it. So I appreciate you, reminding me of that, because it is where I come from, right? It's what I'm made of. And yes, badass is the right word. So, anyway, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it's in your blood too, but so I love doing the paintings. Oh, and coincidentally, that painting that I did for you was, to me, a daughter honoring her mother. But I also felt the communication from the mother to the daughter. Mm-hmm. And I found out that night that from a very dear friend of mine who I love dearly, I found out that night that she lost her daughter that day. Oh, suddenly, wow. Unexpectedly. And I just went, oh my God, this painting, I looked at it and I was like, this is also from a daughter to her mother. Wow. So it was a very powerful experience for me to have been the intermediary, to be able to bring through these two beautiful women, your mother and this daughter, who is way too young. But yeah, so I love doing the paintings. I love talking. I love being around military. I love talking. And I know a lot. I know military language and traditions, and especially Marine Corps, but that's just because I got a soft spot for the Marine Corps. Sure. But realizing that I am kind of in a unique position where I have read American Soldiers. I have written pieces that were channeled by every branch of service who came and sat down next to me and helped me write a poem it's now in the Smithsonian, but completely accidentally. It's not as big as we think it is. It just sounds good saying it. But where I started realizing, wow, I understand what this is. I had a conversation with a young veteran who had been in Iraq. And I was doing a group reading at his house, but it was for his wife, and it was, girls' night. And he happened to come down to the kitchen and tried to sneak a snack. And then he kind of sat down, and I'm like, who's military? And because immediately I'm pulled, and I brought through 4 of his friends.
Oh, wow.
And this was the first time I ever read a veteran.
Wow.
And I just looked at him and I'm like, I'll just use a generic name. I said, who's Joe? And he goes, oh my God. So 2 of the friends were killed in action, and 2 died later. And I knew what they were talking about. And I knew, even though he's Army, and all of my experiences Marine Corps, basically, I still knew, like, they told me what rank he was. And I looked at him and I was like, oh, you were an E5. I said, because they're showing me 5. And I know,
Sure.
and I know what that is.
Yeah.
It's an enlisted rank. It's a sergeant. And he's like, I had never met him before, never even seen him before, never met his wife. And I did a painting for him. And I did the 4 guys. And I thought in my painting, here's 2 guys here, and then there's space, and then there's 2 guys here. And Spirit said, well, you have to do water in between the 2, the 2 sets.
Uh-huh.
Well, one of his friends jumped off a cruise ship while he was still active duty. And I just thought, oh, Spirit, don't make me put water in there. Like, I don't want to bring this trauma into this painting, but if you are telling me that I need to put in the water, I will put in the water. And I heard it again, and it was put in the water. And I go, oh, please, can I just one more try? And Spirit said, put in the water. It'll be okay. And I'm like, all right. And then I heard blue skies above. And I said, okay, good. There's hope, And with that reading, I have since done others, but these passings can be violent, traumatic, and I can't be this cute little wallflower that can't talk things, to me, if you're walking through hell, because you're walking through hell with these memories, then the least I can do to honor you is to friggin' walk through hell with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I put the water in, and I go to leave to take him his painting. This is like a week later after his reading. Excuse me. And I show my husband, and my husband goes, I said, look, here's the 4 guys. And he goes, those are mountains. And I go, no, they're not. They're 4 guys. And he's like, no, those are mountains. And I was like, okay, whatever. And then I show my youngest son, because he happened to come home like right as I'm leaving. I said, here's the 4 friends. And he goes, those are mountains. And I go, what's with the mountain? Okay, fine. So I go over and I give this young man his painting, and I'm explaining. And I said, here's your 4 friends, best friends. I mean, he told me that they slept so close together, excuse me, because they were in a bunk situation, right? So they're shoulder to shoulder sleeping. He goes, you get to be so close, emotionally to these guys, and then to have them die, or one of them went in his place that day.
Oh, wow.
And sat where he should have been sitting. And I was able to say, your friend is telling you, I lived my life's purpose. Now you need to live yours. So there's a lot of healing coming through this day. And now I do the painting. Beautiful. And I take him the painting, and I said, this is what I think. But my son and my husband both said that these are mountains. And he looks at it and he goes, oh my God. And I got goosebumps, And I'm like, what is it? Are they mountains? And he said he was stationed in Iraq. He said Iraq is totally flat except for where they were stationed. He said, you painted where I was stationed, where I was.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the heck? I mean, to me, this does not look like a beautiful artistic thing, And I said, what? And he said, yeah, Iraq is totally flat except where we were. And he said, there's mountains on one side and there's mountains on the other. I said, okay, then how do you explain the water? Because I didn't want to put in the water. And he goes, the water is key, because the water is where the Tigris and the Euphrates come together. Are you kidding me? So, and to think, okay, I will never argue with Spirit again.
Right.
So I thought, oh, okay. Well, I had also been told, draw a tattoo. I can't draw. I really can't draw. And I was like, okay, Spirit, I can't draw. Seriously, I cannot draw a tattoo. draw a tattoo. And I'm like, I can't draw a tattoo. Draw a tattoo. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I sit down and I'm like, but you're going to have to show me how to do this. So I get this weird shaped thing that looks like pokey things. And so I just do this, and I just put it in the corner of the painting because I wanted to hide it because I thought it looked like dirt, there's no way I'm doing this justice. So after he had just told me that this was where they were stationed, then I said, okay, well, what's with the tattoos? And I said, who has tattoos? He said, well, I do. And I said, okay, well, look at, what is this? And he goes, I'm gonna clean it up. He goes, holy crap. And he pulls off his hoodie because it's winter. So I never saw his arms because he had on a hoodie. Pulls off his hoodie, pulls up his t-shirt, and right there is the tattoo that looks like this. And it's like barbed wire or something.
That's amazing.
I was like, you can't make this up. Like, I've never met him before. I had no idea. And the tattoo meant something. And then, I was like, this is really cool that your friends were showing me this tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm doing paintings, a lot of times they're mediumship paintings that can go with a reading. Sometimes I'll do it right in the middle of a reading, or sometimes I'll paint later. It's just I want to say fun, but that doesn't sound dignified. Like my 3 pillars are that I act with responsibility, integrity, and dignity, because our veterans deserve every dignified honor that we can give them.
Yeah.
But there's such deep enjoyment and joy that comes from being able to help them for everything that they have done for all of us, our country, families. I mean, I've always been military family, and it's not easy being a military wife and raising your children while your husband's gone. So I honor the military families as well. But yeah, that's just some of the fun stuff. Oh, and then fast forward 4 years, and I meet a Marine wife, and she said, I want to schedule a session with you for my husband. He was Marine Corps Special Forces. And I said, great, that's wonderful. And he's kind of hesitating and not scheduling, and that's fine. So she shows him that painting that I did for this soldier. And she just told him, she said, look, she did this painting. And darn if he didn't look right at it. She said he looked right at it and said, I know exactly where that's at. He said, we call it Death Valley.
Wow.
4 years later. And I'm going, really? Does it really look that like, yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't make this stuff up, right? Like,
Right.
You touched on quite a few interesting things in the scope of mediumship, I suppose. I heard you say they showed you 5, and you knew that meant E5. So that tells me you have something of that dictionary that many mediums have. That
Right.
these are
The
my
symbols.
These are
Yeah.
my symbols and my clues for this. So that's amazing. And then the idea that, I've only ever made one painting and made it as a gift. I don't paint. I'm like, I can't paint. And I just tried it because it's fun, right? So I did this painting. It was a watercolor painting. And then they said, use orange. And I'm like, I don't like orange. I do not like orange. I don't want to use orange. No, you need to use orange. I'm like, okay. So it was rather abstract, like shapes and flowers and, like swirls and things. And I made it for my friend Val, who has been a guest on this show. And I brought it to her and I said, well, I don't know. This is what they told me to bring you. And I brought it. And son of a gun, if I didn't walk into her room where she works, and it matched all of the colors perfectly, including the orange. And I was like, so,
Perfect.
Right? So when you say you listen, right, and you don't second guess, right? You trust.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, so this is a lesson in
that
trust.
was the takeaway.
and you take away the these are mine are visualize, align, surrender, and then the state of neutral is so important, and that's to remove assumption, judgment, self-doubt, and fear.
Right.
And when you take those four things away, then you get the pure information. So that's exactly what you do, whatever your method is to get into that state. I love that you're listening, and I love for the people that you interact with and the people that you help, you're giving them such great information. And isn't it sometimes, as a reader of any kind, I can say for sure I've said more than once, oh no, I'm not saying that.
We were talking about this the other day, weren't we?
I have done the same thing in a tarot reading, like,
yeah.
I gotta sugarcoat this.
Yeah. So I think that it's when those of us that do this kind of work can get to this kind of place of trust, not blind trust, but trust, because we rely on the information that's coming to us from spirit. I think we can't help but spread the light and do amazing things and healing things for people. So I appreciate you for being open to, just even talk about your method and how you do it and what you've done, because I think it's a beacon for people who are trying to learn how to do this. And John, you touched on that a little bit in the beginning.
Yep.
About, wanting to understand how to learn how to do this. And the truth is, I don't think there is one prescribed method of learning how to do this, right? There are a lot of people out there that can help you sort of figure out, but it is trust, listen, observe, deliver, and validation is not a bad thing, right? Validation.
And neither is really loud music.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, I start every session.
All the stuff out of your walls, PS, by the way. Anyway, I don't know. My Iolite decided it wanted to come and join me, so
nice.
That's what it's all about. This is one amazing piece.
Wow.
Look at it. It's got mountains. I don't know if you can see them.
What?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
It's got mountains. Look at that. Mountain. And
Yep.
Yeah. Well, how do you like that? And it kind of looks like
check.
water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look at that. That's got some similar shapeage.
It does. It's almost
cool.
Wow.
identical. Well, all I got is this guy, so.
Well, there you go.
I got a little itty bitty one.
We need that too.
Right? Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. Show me yours and I'll show you mine.
Although we will do a show and tell episode someday.
I don't even have all the good stuff here. So a lot of the good stuff is at my space where I work. Anyway, so wow. So John, what would you like to know from Camille?
Great. Glad you asked. So I've taken a number of mediumship classes. First of all, I was surprised that you could learn this stuff. So coming into this, my journey, I've only been on the journey for, 8 or 9 years. And only in the last 2 or 3 years do I think I've kind of like, all right, I'm all in. Let's do this thing. Mm-hmm. So it was a surprise to me to realize that you could learn mediumship. So I guess I'm curious, what was your journey through finding out that this was something you could do, and then, honing your skill, or did you train with anyone?
I've always, which sounds so cliche, but I have always received messages.
I like that. Yes.
I have always, I don't remember a time, and I'm talking back to 2 years old, that I have always felt like there's angels around me.
Amazing.
I remember I was a little girl, my great grandma passed away, and we were at her funeral or her wake, and one of my uncles said, just look up at the stars, and grandma is one of those. And I was like, no, she's not. Like she's like right here, she's not, which ultimately led to me. I don't believe that heaven is some faraway place. And what I believe is that it's 3 feet away from us,
Mm.
you know, and, you know, people will correct me and say, well, actually it's within you. I understand that. I respect that. But for me, it's a visual that my loved ones are right here. They are 3 feet away from me.
Sweet.
So, so I've always felt that. Then when I was 12, I had a very, very spiritual experience in front of the Christmas tree, and just felt like as if I was bathed in this golden white light. And I knew it was God and or universe, divine source. I mean, it's all the same thing to me.
Mhm.
And I said, whatever path my life takes, I dedicate my life to you.
Wow.
However I may heal, you know, however I may serve. So that was at 12. And then 16, 17, my mom would we would sit in the living room and she would say, okay, I want you to think of, or I'm going to think of an object and I want you to tell me what I'm thinking of.
Hmm.
So my mom knows that there's this stuff going on with me. And back then it was called ESP.
Right.
Right. Yes, it
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
So, so she got me trained in being able to feel, you know, what does it feel like? What does it look like? And I can do that like this now because I had that training with her. And then I also, because I lived in the Caribbean, I also studied with Rastafarians, and and they were so pure, like nothing impure went in their bodies. And they told me how your body is your temple and this is sacred and take care of it. And we talked about astral travel. We talked about like all the stuff that is exciting when you're a teenager, you know. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And so I studied spirituality, you know, with them, and we would take the Bible and we would look and they would say, okay, this is what your religion is teaching you, because I grew up in a Baptist church. This is what you're thinking this means, but this is what it means. And
Really?
so, yeah,
Wait,
that was really
so
cool.
that's really piqued my interest because
Finally. No.
no, this whole conversation has, but specifically, so I grew up in a religious household too, the Protestant denomination, and I have had a number of times where I'm like, kind of like setting aside all the inaccuracies and the conflicting information that you get from the Bible, and kind of thinking, well, I guess maybe that's not where the story is. But you said they were able to look at a passage and say, this is what you think it means, but this is what it actually means. I like that a lot. That really kind of brings it back to a tool or a scripture that still has meaning.
Well, and think about all the sacred texts that we have in the world. You know, you saying tool, I agree completely. Like these texts were given to humanity, maybe as guidelines, and I don't buy into fear, and I don't buy into being controlled by fear.
Right.
So I'm looking for more. In fact, once I started using the term medium, which, I mean, you guys have seen in the past 10 years, we're just actually able to start coming out of the mediumship closet, you know, like we're actually able to talk about, oh, hey, I'm a spirit artist, or I see angels and I work in hospice. You know how many angels I saw in hospice? So, but when I started literally, I could say that I was a mystic. I could say that I was a spiritual advisor. I could say things like that. But the minute I said medium, one of my family members, very near and dear to me, said, that's it. I can't do this. And he said, that is witchcraft. And I was like, well, can I be Glinda the Good Witch? You know?
Good on you.
But, you know, so whatever. That's, he believes what he believes, and I believe different.
Right.
And I respect and honor both. And I mean, the human part of me is like, really? You
Yep.
gave me this gift. Really? But yeah, it's just, I think that there are so many people that are wrapped up in verbiage.
Right.
When you just think about, we are doing God's work. If I'm going to use religious terms, we are doing God's work. We are doing the work of the divine. We are doing sacred work, because we're allowing love to come through us to people who are complete and utter strangers,
Right.
because we are being used to help heal the world. And why would I not allow love to come through me? I don't have a cauldron. I
Why not?
I don't think I'm dark and creepy,
Right.
Well, not every cauldron is dark and creepy.
Yeah. So, but as I got, I've always, and my husband and I have been together almost 33 years. We've been together since the night we met. And he can tell you that, yes, there's, there's something, because she's on to something, because I would say things, I would say, please don't go there. And there'd be a shooting there that night,
wow.
or something. And he's like,
Yep.
okay, I trust you, whatever
Yep.
you say. But then I remember having this conversation with him and going, wow, I did the weirdest thing today. I finally realized that some of these messages that I'm getting aren't just for me. They're for one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
I just, yeah. So I started, I had to figure out what's what.
I mean, the messages,
and
what messages for you, and who it's for, and kind of the context around it.
Yeah, well, and also, what is remote viewing? Because I can do that, and I'm not in I could do remote viewing standing here talking to you guys. So I sought out a teacher, and he's like, okay. And we talked for hours that first day.
Oh,
and
cool.
I said, okay, what's this? Because I can tell you what's over here and in this room and in that closet and on the floor behind the book that's on the shelf,
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, that's remote viewing. So learning all these different things and learning what is clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, learning the clairs. So I had the tools. I just didn't know what they were called and what they do and how to use them for the greater good.
Are you, do you mostly pick up visuals, or is it mostly auditory?
One second, because it is time for our shameless plug.
Oh, yes.
Shameless plug time.
Shameless plug time. So, sorry to interrupt, but we'll get right back to it as soon as we get the shameless plug in. We want to remind everybody that there's still a little time left and there's still a little space left in the Oracle Seance. So if you go to Facebook and go to my Facebook page, Angie ZXUH, and I think it's at the ZXUH method is what I think it is. The event is listed there, and sign up. It's a really small event. We keep it really small and really intimate so that everybody gets an opportunity to get a reading. We're going to invite you to bring in the loved ones or whoever it is that you wish to speak with. And then John and I will be doing, card readings to give you their messages. So, and it will involve, one of my energy meditations to bring you to a conversation state to be able to make these connections, and something that you'll be able to call on in the future if you would like to go back. So that is on Sunday, right?
Yep.
Is it the 16th? What day is it? What is today? Yes, it's the 16th.
Yes.
Sunday the 16th. Sorry, tax season, folks. My brain's a little mushy.
Right. You'll have to forgive Angie. One more week and things are back to normal.
Go to my Facebook page and check out the events, and we'll toss a link to the event in the comments on the YouTube video.
Yep.
So that's that.
So like and subscribe and comment.
Yes.
Thank you.
Camille, your podcast is?
Military Medium.
And where
And
can it be found?
YouTube.
YouTube. So
My YouTube channel is Military Medium.
that'll be
Perfect.
easy to find.
My Instagram is the Military Medium.
Yeah, there you go. Just look up Military Medium. You'll find her. So we will put a link to that in the comments of the show as well. John?
So I am just going to highlight the same thing you said, Angie, which is our Oracle Seance event this Sunday, the 16th. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, which would be 7 p.m. Central Time. And I'm really looking forward to it. We did it a couple months ago. It was really an amazing event.
It really
And
was.
yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it again. So just
Using
double highlighting that.
Edge to get that information. It was really great. That's Angie. She railroads everybody. I'm a bull in a china shop. Everybody's getting used to it.
That's why we make such a great pair.
You do. You guys make a great pair.
So much. All right. So that's it for the shameless plug. We have a little bit more time left, and then we also have tarot time at the end, where John is gonna give you another card or two and some keywords.
Perfect.
All right. So John,
I have one more question, actually, if we can.
No, go for
I
it.
can just monopolize the conversation here. So I took a course, a mediumship course. Actually, it was another military medium. I don't know if you know Suzanne Giesman, but she has a system that she teaches people of like, okay, some part of it was how to get into the neutral state, and kind of the things you needed to do to really, start connecting with the guides and spirits and loved ones. And she also said for her anyway, there was positions like over here. I forgot what they were because I didn't study very well, but one side was the father's side, one side was the mother's side. And then if there was someone who was a friend, it might be in the middle. Does that sound similar to anything that you've done, or is that all, is everybody, everybody a little bit different in how they do things?
Well, I'm sure everybody's a little different. I have heard that teaching, and that does nothing for me. That
okay, all right, that's good to know.
Yeah, I remember in the beginning going, okay, I should be feeling this tap on my right shoulder if it's the father, and I'll feel this tap on my left shoulder if it's the mother. And I never felt that. So you just have to go with what resonates with you.
Right. Thank you.
Like what I did there?
Great. We'll have you do that one more time, okay?
Yeah. Does it resonate with you?
Great.
So for me, that just didn't work. And then I started, you can study so much, but you still have to do what you were designed to do.
Oh my God, Camille, you are my spirit animal.
You're welcome.
If there is one, that is the focus and the core of my work, right? Build your neutral state, create your container, and then figure out how you connect to receive and interpret energy. That's what it's all about. So, I knew that I loved you for a reason.
I know.
And
it was love at first sight with Angie.
This is helpful for me, who's a little bit earlier on in this journey, just hearing it from Angie, and then also hearing it from Camille, saying the same thing in different ways. That's really, really helpful. And
it goes back to trust, and faith are one and the same. And you just have to so the best thing that I would suggest or would recommend is that you just get out of your own way.
Okay.
And you let spirit do its work. And you, whatever you feel, express that. I drew 4 guys and I didn't realize that they looked like mountains. Right. I almost did not draw the water. I almost did not draw the tattoo. But yeah, in fact, I did a reading not too long ago. I don't know why, but here we go. We're going to trust. I was doing a reading for a woman and her husband. And the very first person to come through, I see there's a pilot. He's flying a plane and there's a fiery crash. And I'm like, oh, great. This is how we're starting this reading. And they're not military. This is just a civilian, this is a civilian reading. And I got to start off with this. And so I start giving information. And I even gave his date of death. And so I'm talking and I'm like, okay, who do you know that's in the Air Force? Or I said, this is definitely aviation. I didn't think it was naval aviation. I thought for sure it was either Army, Air Force. But I just was like, you got to know a pilot. Like this he's a pilot, and he was shot down. And I said, he's telling me that he was gone before he ever even hit the ground. And they're just kind of like looking at me like, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, you got to give me more, because I'm getting blank stares. Like, what the heck are you talking about? So I said, well, what is, and I gave this date. And all of a sudden she looks at me and she goes, oh my gosh. She said when she was 12 years old, 10, 12 years old, she had one of those POW MIA bracelets. You guys remember those?
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember that. Like, she was 12 and she ordered one, and she got his Major DeSoto. So she said, oh my God. She said, and as soon as she said that, I got this whoosh feeling, like as if just gallons of warm syrup, just, that's my feeling of we're spot on, And I said, that is absolutely him. And the whole reason why he came through was just to thank her, because she was a kid honoring his service and his sacrifice. And I told, so she said, I'm pretty sure this is him. Well, I get home and, I'm like Googling and I'm looking up Major DeSoto. And I looked at the date of his, now he was listed as MIA because they never recovered him.
Right.
But I said, and the other planes that were with him, they said they never saw him again, him and his navigator. They never saw them again. The last time they saw them, they were flying into a cloud bank. And I was like, well, yeah, you're not going to recover. You're not going to recover him. But the fact that we got his exact date of death. So I screenshot it and I circle it and I send it to my friend, because it's her parents that I'm talking to. And I said, get a load of this. Like, if I hadn't trusted and if I hadn't had faith that the information that I'm getting is right, like, you just have to not second guess yourself. You have to just go whole hog into it and just surrender yourself and go,
yeah.
Okay. All right. What you got? Let's help these people heal.
So I do have a question, and I think it'll expand a little bit on what John's looking for and what he's asking. When you first started, you didn't get the information this way, right? This expansive information necessarily. It happens over time. It happens with practice. Am I right? Like, you don't just decide you want to be a medium, and now you get dates of death.
I remember, okay, so I watched some, kind of famous people that are on TV, and I'm looking at them going, how come I can't go into the grocery store and walk up to people and tell them, oh, your mom is standing next to you, that would creep me out.
Boundaries and
yes, ethics.
Right.
Can we talk?
Yeah, we've talked about that on the show a number of times.
Yes.
We all know how Andy feels about that. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. So I started thinking, well, maybe I'm not that good. But I started going, okay, but I have always believed there is such a thing as a healthy boundary, and pay attention. And there is such a thing as being respectful of people. So like the very first time that I got a message was for a friend of mine, and she had just found out that I'm like, what's the matter? Why do you seem upset today? She said, well, I just found out that I've got thyroid cancer. And I have her permission to share her story. So, disclaimer. So I hear, tell her tell her she's going to be fine. It's just a bump in the road. Nope.
Oh,
nope.
Right.
Not going to say that. And I was like, nope. To me, I've worked in healthcare way too long. I was like, that's a medical diagnosis. Not about to. And then I heard, tell her you're going to be okay. It's just a bump in the road. And nope. So this is part of my lesson and learning to go ahead and trust. And I was like, So I told her, I said, I think I have a message for you, but you're going to think I'm nuts. And I said, do you want to hear it? It was the first time I ever gave a message, besides to my mom going, oh, your mom says hi, but she said, yeah, I want to hear. So I said, okay. And I said, look, I know better than to say this. And I would never say this to somebody that I didn't know and love, but she and I are very close, So I said, listen, I just heard that I need to tell you, you're going to be okay. It's just a bump in the road. And she goes, oh my God, I hope so. And I go, oh my God, so do I, because what if you're not,
Right. That's the big question.
So you have to have your disclaimers and, but again, this is somebody that I know and love and I've known for years. So she's like, oh my gosh. And I'm just sweating bullets. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, she goes to meet her oncologist. And she said that he looks at her scans, her x-rays and all, her information. And he looks at her and he said, oh, he goes, you're going to be fine. This is just a bump in the road. And she said that the way I said it that day, you're going to be fine. It's just a bump in the road. She said exactly the same words and exactly the same way that he said it. So that was such an invitation for me to allow all this beauty and joy and divine love to just show itself. And man, we were off to the races. So
That's amazing.
Wow.
But it's so, and I just keep feeling like this is a lesson for today is the trust, and have faith in yourself. And, and, like at this point, years later, I know what I know.
Right. I hear something there, and it occurs to me that this is something that should be added to the prayer of intention, or that's one of the things that I teach is to start the day with a prayer of intention. With your boundaries, with your gratitude, with your light. But I love the idea of saying I invite the divine love and light to come through and share itself with the world through me in a way, always for me in that line is always the words comfortable and appropriate. So in a way that's comfortable and appropriate for all concerned, meaning I feel like if that's in my intention, then I don't have to worry too much about what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Because it's comfortable and appropriate for the person I'm dealing with, especially as an energy worker. But I love the idea of adding that. So every time I turn around and everybody I have a conversation with, it's like there's a little extra, something extra to add to that, to that prayer, which is really like the tenet for the way you should do the work, right?
Well, and you saying comfortable and appropriate, right? That's what all right. So that falls in line with my belief in dignity and integrity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And when for me being, and I do raid civilians. I'm not only military. But this is one of my pillars, I guess, is being able to specialize in supporting healing with dignity, so comfortable and appropriate for everybody. So for me, it's all about serving those who served with dignity. And I have had grown men who have said, I don't want to cry in front of you. I don't care if you do. If you cry, it's safe here. If you just are a brick wall and that's how you're coping, but you keep telling me, go ahead. then we also have to pay attention to these signals from our sitters, from the people who come to see us.
Mm-hmm.
And do you want me to continue? Because I don't have to, and it's always about what are you comfortable with? And that's just treating people with respect.
Absolutely. And as equals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Interpreting for them energy that maybe they don't connect to and interpret for themselves. So
that's so funny because I call myself an interpreter.
Right.
I like the term interpreter better than medium.
That's cool.
That is truly what you're doing, right? This is another part of the way I teach, is that intuition, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
is the way that we connect to receive and interpret energy, which is why that dictionary is important, which is why keeping your filter clear from fear and doubt and judgment is so important. I've seen books that have been channeled that I won't even touch because the energy coming off of them, I can feel before you even open the cover.
Mm-hmm.
So channeling through a clear and joyful filter brings healing. And there you go. That's you, Camille. A clear and joyful filter. No doubt in my mind whatsoever.
Wow. That's so well said. A clear and joyful filter.
Yes. Camille is a cheerful, a clear and joyful filter. Yes.
And I have Muppet arms.
We have Muppet arms. I try to sit on my hands. I'm good for, but I do like a lot of my work, right? My meditations are energy, right? So you need to be able to see my hands in the screen.
I like that. I like when you do that.
Yeah. It's very, it sets me apart a little bit. It's part of the ZXUH experience.
We love it. We love it. It is very Zen.
Yes. And Zen expands to unlock healing.
Unlock healing.
Anyway, Camille,
shameless plug.
Camille, it was so amazing to have you with us today.
Yeah, this was very powerful.
I really think that after we sort of sit and marinate with this a little bit, we can come up with a couple of whole other topics to have you back. I really hope that you will, consider coming back and joining us.
Oh, would you please? I would be happy to come back.
That's amazing. I mean, we'd be ever so grateful. Remember that Camille's got her own podcast, The Military Medium, on YouTube. So go over there and hit subscribe. And
it is really amateur. But
we're all amateurs.
It is so amateur. And here's the thing. I am who I am, and I am laughing, and I goof up, and I'm like, you know what? This is authentic. And I put it out there because I got so scared. I was like, nobody wants to see pictures of me. Nobody wants to see my videos. And then I've got people going, I want to hear more about this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. And this lovely young lady, Lexi, is my right-hand man, and we just sit here and we leave the bloopers in, because why not?
Right. Yeah, we leave the bloopers. I mean, we just record from beginning to end. We don't cut anything out. So, we cut out little snippets to post separately.
Right.
No, I think that in this world of AI and, polish, I think it's really refreshing to encounter authentic.
Authenticity is
and
where it's at.
What is it? Authenticity is the new black, right? Like,
I was just going to say that, and I changed it. So that's funny you said that.
This little guy.
Okay,
Am I not a baby goat? Right? Wow. She agrees. Like, I am a baby goat. Like, baby goats are fun, and they're happy, and they're bouncing around all over the place.
He's probably little enough that you could come and we'll do goat yoga.
I know. I was just going to say baby goat yoga. That's on the list.
Here we go.
Oh my God.
Wrong end.
I'm not entirely sure I want to do goat yoga because I'm a little worried about what they do with the goats when they get bigger. Seriously. But anyway, that's just my, that's how my mind works. Anyhow, okay, once again, Camille, thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you guys. I can't thank you enough.
This was very powerful.
Do you want
I
to
loved it. I loved my time with you guys.
tarot time, or do you want us to let you leave? You want to listen or go?
No, I want to listen.
All
Are
right.
you going to kick me out now?
No, I would not. That's why I
I want to hear John.
stuck here if you know, if you wanted to hit the bricks, or you know what I mean. Anyway, so John is going to take over now. He's going to do what is this? The third installment of Tarot Time, or fourth?
I think this is our fourth.
I think it's the fourth. So we're excited. So just go ahead.
All right, it is tarot time
today.
It is tarot time. So today's card is the Seven of Wands, and you can kind of see that there with my background. There we go, Seven of Wands. And I'm only going to pull one card today, not two. And this card is the card of movement and growth. And it's often known as the card where you have to defend yourself. So if you are, it's like you're feeling a little bit of nipping at your heels. So that's kind of the traditional meaning of the card, and the message in that is that you need to stand up for yourself and do your thing. So that goes back to That goes back to what Camille said earlier. It goes back to what we just talked about being authentic. So when this card comes up in a reading, you know that you're feeling a little bit of, one of the books I was reading says you're feeling the haters, you're feeling the people kind of prodding at you and pushing you and nipping at your heels. This is the card message is tenacity, hang on, stand up and do your beautiful thing. And it's almost like you're going to draw a line in the sand and say, it ends here. No more. I am standing my ground. So it's a really powerful card to say, I am who I am, and I'm going to do what I do. So that's the card. There's a mantra. So one of the books I like to use, I'm using Chrisanne's deck, which is the Light Seers Tarot. And she has a mantra for some of her cards, which I'm going to read. I am deserving of the success, and I will bravely shine my light into the world. Now, if that's not a message for all of us, I don't know what is.
And so appropriate for what we were talking about.
Absolutely.
So
There's no such thing as coincidence.
Never. I want to catch one thing that we caught last week. The suit of wands. Last week you had, I don't remember the suit, but you said it was about emotion. So what?
Right. Cups is emotion.
Okay. Ooh, I'm getting better. I remembered. And so the suit of wands is
action.
Action. Yep. Oh, I'm all about action. Because I don't.
I think if I did a reading for Angie, it would be all wands.
I am. I'm all about action because I don't think there's manifesting without action.
Right.
I don't believe there's manifesting without action. I mean, you have to take some kind of action. It might be energy work, but it's still action.
Yep.
So
I also picked up on. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I also picked up on that you said defense.
Yes.
Defending yourself. So, and I'm sitting here going, isn't that kind of wonderful that a card comes up about defense when we're talking military?
Yeah,
right?
That is interesting.
Right?
Yep. That just kind of goes hand in hand with defending your nation, defending your country, and then being able to defend yourself against, those nipping at your heels. It's such a good connection. I want to remind everyone to download our tarot PDF so you can keep track of these. You can write down the card of the
and you don't even need to write it down. It's a fillable PDF.
That's right. It's a fillable PDF. But we have that on the website, doesitresonatewithyou.com. And as we do these weekly cards, we want you to follow along and stay with us, learn with us.
Right. And then when we're all done, we'll invite some of you on to do readings for people. Won't that be fun on the show?
Yes, absolutely.
It's going to take a while though, but we'll get through it. We'll get there. All right. Well, this has been another great episode. I've heard a lot of things that resonate with me. I sure hope
It's one
that
of my
you,
favorites.
right? I sure hope that you listeners out there heard things that resonate with you. And I think that if any of you are out there thinking that you might want to be a medium, or you might want to be a reader, or you might want to do this work in some way, Camille's giving you some really good advice.
Mm-hmm.
The sun is coming down, so I'm lighting up.
Oh, it's the sun now, huh?
Looks like
No,
that
that's
deal,
Angie's
that deal
aura.
that you did when you were kids, when you put a flashlight under your face, because it's bouncing off the table up. Anyway, if you are thinking about taking on this kind of work, I think that there was a lot of really good information in this episode. So we really hope that it resonates with you. John, it was a great show once again. We just had a great time. Thank you
Yep.
so
Thank
much
you.
for being
And
along
thank
with
you
us.
especially to Camille.
Absolutely. Camille will be back.
Oh, you guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
promise Camille will be back. And while we're at it, if you made it to the end of the show and you haven't yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. We'd appreciate it so much.
Yep.
Go over to Military Medium and subscribe to Camille's channel as well. And then
I have 17 subscribers.
John's got a channel, The Tarot Geek, where he puts the snippets of the tarot time. So go check that out over there as well. Meanwhile, that's what we've got for this week. So here's another week. And we'll let you know in the future what next week's going to be about, because we haven't decided yet.
It's been one of those weeks.
In our authentic selves, actually, by the time we get to next week, tax season may be over. I don't know yet. Well, we're hoping, technically speaking, in the United States, it's over, on April 18th. But for me, it may not. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Anyway, John, have a great week. Camille, it was great to have you. Have a great week. We'll see you guys all later. John, you want to sign us out?
All right. This is Does It Resonate With You? Thank you for listening to Does It Resonate With You? The thought-provoking conversation show with your hosts, Angie of the ZXUH Method and John the Tarot Geek. Please help us out by clicking the subscribe button here on the YouTube channel. We appreciate your support.